Hi guys, Paul from MeModels.co.uk. Welcome to part 12 of the Tamiya 132 Corsair build. As you see, back in the spray booth, after getting the base colours down last time, we're back today for some painting, weathering effects. What I've done off camera is I mixed up one batch of paint. I mixed it in a colouring cup using the Acan sea blue and white. I lightened it a bit. As you can see, it was a little bit too much. Go to the overhead, you can see it. A little bit too much, but a little bit of a tester. I then came across and we've mixed this one here, which still gives the fade effect, but not quite as bright as the other side. It might look on camera, but it's not in real life. It's a lot more subtle. So what we're going to do is we're going to fade all the panel lines, any of these lines here or any recessed areas, anywhere where there's a panel line. We're going to we're going to lightly fade it, then we'll come back, add some figure of eights to give it that mottled look, and that's it really, because it's a nice dark blue. Sadly the pre-shading doesn't show through at all because of the colour, but I did spray it on nice and light. Underneath's different, as you saw last time. We've already got weathering effects under there, so it doesn't really need touching. The lighter blue does, but the white's fine because the way I sprayed it last time. So basically we're just going to go round, paint each panel, lighten it, just get a bit of tonal difference. It's hard to see on the lights because I've got the studio light here. Makes it a little bit bright, but it'll just give a bit of tonal variation and add a bit of interest to the paint. Rather than being a stock blue all the way around, we'll add a bit of interest to it. So, like I said, I mixed up a colour before. This is the colour we mixed up in there. It's then decanted to the airbrush, as you can see in there. The hardened steam back has been properly cleaned, given a good run through to make sure it's performing perfectly. I've got a bit of tissue here on hand to keep the needle tip clean. I've also got a brush in case we get any blockages or needle drying, and that's it. So I'll show you what we'll do. So I'm going to put the spray booth on. So what I'll go over. There we go, we'll go around the side here. I was going to go over that bit, we'll redo this bit, I'll do the other bit off camera. So what we're going to do, all these lines, I'm going to give them a little bit of paint. It'll be quite hard to see on camera. I'm going to angle it down so I can see the paint around. Just got random shapes to each panel line. And each edge, probably hard for you to see. I can angle it so you get some light, you see it landed on there. So we've got up and down these straight bits here, you can see the paint, and then we're going to try and get all these little recessed areas here. What you don't want is everyone to be faded perfectly in the middle. So you need to kind of alternate where you're spraying. All I'm doing, anywhere I can't get right in, I just sprayed a line across. So what you try and leave behind, try to do the centres. As you can see the paintwork there. You can see it's not quite dry. You're trying to fade the centres and leave the outer edge darker to give the impression of a faded panel. So the panels are quite awkward on this. Obviously some of them are that small, you can't just add the interest in there, so I tend to just do a line. soaking in, but you can see the effect we're getting. They're all starting to fade in the middle. It's giving total variation to the paintwork, which is perfect. A little bit of needle dry in there, so we give it a wipe. Now, like I say here, where there are no panel lines, just rivets, I'm just going to add random paint effects. Try and go up and down the rivet lines. Not perfectly straight. Again, quite hard for you to see. Really hard colour, this being blue. You can see it more on the back here on these panels. The back, you can see the centres are a different colour. Now that has been done mostly all over that wing. Time to time, give your airbrush a little clear. So on the likes of this panel here, where there's lots of rivets but there are panel lines, I'm literally, if I show you on the paper, I'm literally adding a dot and then moving it along almost instantly, like so. You can see just there. So just keeping the airbrush going. Again, I'm not trying to do the exact centre, I'm doing the edges, as random as possible. And there we go, there's one panel done. So as you can see, we catch the light, you can see the faded panels. So I'll do the rest of the aircraft and we'll come back once it's done. Okay, so there's all the panel fading done. Quite hard to see on camera, but you can see the effect. Look at this side first, and I'll show you something on the other. So we've gone over the whole upper dark surface. You can see the effect very well there. You can see all the panel lines with the highlights a lot better now. Right the way through to the elevators at the back. Now what we're going to do, I've done it to one side, is we're now going to add some figure of eights. Now, I know I say this quite a lot. I know there's a lot of people waiting to see this technique. To be honest, this probably isn't going to be the best aircraft to see it on. You're probably best looking at the F15 video, which will be coming up next on ISM. Purely and simply because it's a grey aircraft, you're going to see the effect much easier than you can on this dark blue, because it really doesn't show well on camera at all. But basically, essentially what we're doing, if I find a clear bit of paper, I'm just going over the whole upper surface. And I'm basically doing that over the panel lines. What that gives, it gives a random mottled effect. If I just do along here, and I'll show you what I've done. So you're not focusing in any single place for too long, or there you go. Now you can see the panel fading, and now you can see the mottled effect coming from those figure of eights all on here. Now again, I'm going to do this everywhere. It's not trying to be neat, trying to keep the lines nice and thin, so you need to make sure your needle's nice and dry. We are literally just adding random patterns, S's, figure of eights, etc. to all those panels are just faded. You don't even need to stay in the panels now, you can just venture out. Randomly go around them every way you can. There we go. Now, really not to say, but there you go, you got a real nice mottled one. If it's still got the panel fading, that's still there. But we've also added a random tonal texture everywhere. Some people might not be a fan of this, some people might say I'm doing it wrong, but for me, this is how I envision the aircraft being worn. Quite simple weathering on this. We're not going to over weather. I don't want to have it chipped to hell, or I don't even think I'm going to add any chipping at all to it. I just want it well weathered. So I'm not going to add any chipping. I don't think I am anyway. And there you go. So you probably can't see that. You can see the patterns and the lines. Obviously it's a bit more glossy where we've added some of the lines and what have you, so once we get a matte coat on, that'll really dull it down. So I'll continue around the aircraft, and again we'll come back once I'm done. Okay, there we go, whole thing's done. We've got the mottled effect everywhere, quite hard to see. Like I say, with being dark blue, it's such a pig to see. You can see it on the elevators at the back, there you go, so you can see that mottled paintwork effect I've got. Now what I'd normally do now is come back and post shade it, but to be honest, with that panel fading, it's brought the panel lines out really well. And obviously because we're going for the faded effect, that's just what we've got with that paintwork. So quite hard to see on the side camera, but you can see it a bit on the overhead. To the naked eye you can see it. It looks really well worn and faded, which is just the effect I wanted. So what I need to do next, if I pop that down for us, I'll carry on, do the light blue underneath. I need to tidy up this here and get that masked perfectly there. I then need to do the same effect underneath to the blue. I don't think the white needs it. The white's got a nice mottled effect to it already, so I'm quite happy with the white, so we'll probably leave that be. Then we'll come back, clear coat, decals, and that'll probably do us for today. So that'll leave the next part, which will be weathering. Now what I'm going to do weathering is something I've seen on one of the Tamiya how-to books. So we used oil and they mixed like a salmony colour, and it really looked awesome in all the panel lines because it was really accentuated and made them look faded, which is just the effect I want. We'll get that in, seal that in with some obviously clear, and then I've got a MIG Productions Corsair faded blue pigment, which will pop on, give it a light dusting again. That'll give us a real faded, worn look on the whole aircraft. Only on the upper surfaces. The light blue's not really going to need it, and that's probably about it really. A few finishing touches. So hopefully the next part after this will be complete, which will be absolutely superb. Get it unmasked, see what it looks like. There's a few bits and bobs to put on. The propeller still needs spraying up, but we can sort that for next time as well. So what I'm going to do now, tonight, it's quite late now, it's knocking on a bit, it's nearly just gone midnight. So I'm going to finish off the light blue. I need to tidy up this tail as well, vertical stabiliser, because it's not quite masked properly. You can see the dark blue at the back's popped over. Mask her up and I'll come back in the morning and we'll see what she looks like in the morning. Okay, it's the following morning. I've been busy this morning already. We've faded all the panel line centres. I've done the top and the bottom. What we've also done underneath though, and you're able to see it, we've added a little bit of post shading to the white, I'll explain how I did that in a minute. It looks a bit strong on camera. The camera always over exaggerates it. I'll see how it goes, and as I'm going along, if I think it looks a bit too strong, I'll dull it down a bit. And like I say, I'll explain in a second how I did it. The intermediate blue's been done, and again the opposite, you can barely see it, but you can see the panel fade in the centre, and then I've come in with a slightly darker tone, and I've post shaded it afterwards as well. This needs a little bit of attention here, and again what I'll do, I'll get the base colour and just mist it over, and that'll tone it in as well. That was where I was testing a darker colour. Same on the other side, and the same on the tail with the white. On the camera it looks unbelievably dark. Into the naked eye it is probably nowhere near that, but I think I will dull it down a little bit more white in a little bit. So the way I did this, when I did the lighter tone of this, I went over it with the blue, just save a bit of time, and then I've dusted the white over it as we've gone. But like I say, the camera's really over exaggerating that massively. Now post shade on top, we could try and do a darker tone of the blue, but because it's such a dark tone, it's going to be quite hard to do. Now you can see the fading in the centres, you can see the mottled effect that we're getting there. The mottled effect's actually glossy at the minute, so you can see it quite well. Once it's matted down, it'll really add to the paintwork effects. Now what I've done, and you may be able to see it on the tail, I've come with a bit of post shade on the tail, and what I'm using, I'm not going to tip it because the bottle's open, is Tamiya X19 Smoke. Now I seen another modeller, and it's probably something's been used for a long time, but it's quite new to me. I've seen another modeller use it a while back, and I've taken on board as one of my techniques, not passing off as my own, as I got accused of the other day, but just another technique that I've added to my arsenal, and it seems to work pretty well. Quite hard to see on the tail, but I've literally just done it on there to test it, and you can see the post shade on the panel line. So basically it's quite heavily thinned, as you can see. If I spray it on a bit of paper, we just spray it there, there's barely anything there. It's just a case of coming in. I'm going to put my booth back on, because I've been on and off painting this morning for about an hour off camera. So it's a case of just coming in. If I pick, hopefully somebody can see, and the way I do is I angle it so I can see the light on it. And just spray away exactly the same way you will pre-shading. And again, it doesn't need to be neat. I think the more random it is, try and follow the panel lines obviously. But I think it gives a really nice effect. Now I don't know if you can see that being sprayed, I can't really look up. Because it's so highly thin, you can see the thinner go on. And evaporates almost instantly. Now I'm not the best position for painting. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I can see it to the naked eye. It's not over, overly dark. But it's enough to give the darker panel edges effect that I'm after. Obviously you can go over it again. Kind of hoping you can see that being sprayed on there, because I can beautifully, but as you say, go over it 2 or 3 times. And there we go. If I angle it, I can see that beautifully. You may be able to see it. Quite hard with the camera, it doesn't always show everything. But I can see the post shading really well there. It's a lovely subtle effect as well, just what I'm after. And it's a case of being systematic all over the aircraft. Every panel line you want to accentuate. The difference being with paint, because it's so highly thin, it needs about 4 or 5 passes to show through. So it's going to take a while, but it's a lovely subtle effect on this. hope you can see that now. I've applied a little bit heavier just around here. Just hoping you guys can see it, because it's such a nightmare to try and get it to show on camera. But I can see that it's really accentuating those panel lines really nicely, and that's what I want. Now, like I say, because it's a darker colour, it's ideal. I've used this on lighter aircraft. Obviously, you've got to be aware the lighter aircraft, you don't need to put the paint on as heavy or as many times over, because lighter paintwork, like if I sprayed it on intermediate blue, I don't need a couple of passes, you can see it. So it's just trial and error. Give it a try if you're going to use it. It needs to be really nicely thin, so it's, you know, literally if I paint it there, it's just like water. You can barely see it. But 4 or 5 passes over the paintwork and it leaves a real nice subtle post-shaded effect. I'm going to go over the entire aircraft. I've probably got about an hour's work just to do this upper surface. So once it's done, we'll come back, we'll get a clear coat on and we'll be ready for decals. Okay, there we go. About 400 colour cup changes later. All the post shading's done on top. Again, it's quite hard to see. You can see it there on the leading edge of the wing a little bit and the beer parts as well. All the fuselage has been done. Like I said, it's quite hard to see with being such a dark colour. We've touched up any areas of paintwork that have needed it. We've got a nice demarcation between the camo colours. So happy with that. Make sure all the leading edges are done properly. It's still a little bit wet, so we need to be careful in places. And like I say, the post shading is showing for lovely. I've given the white another go over underneath, as you can see. We turn it around properly the right way, so it's not as prominent anymore right the way through. But happy with the paintwork. It's a nice little bit of weathering done just with the paintwork alone, which is just how I like my aircraft. I'm not a fan of over-the-weather aircraft, and I had contemplated weathering this thing to hell, chipping it, and it's just not my cup of tea, to be honest. So it's not going to get any chipping. It's got one look in paintwork. I know these would have been battered, but at the end of the day, it's my model. I'm going to model it how I see fit. But we will add some wash to the panel lines. Not 100% sure what to do yet. I might try a UMP concrete, but I don't know if it'd be too in your face. So I might try a oil wash. Like I say, I've seen somebody do like a pinky coloured one, like a light pink, and that really well because it added to the faded look of the aircraft. But then I don't know what to try the concrete, like I say. What I might do, and what I'm going to do next, is we're going to clear coat this. We'll be using, if I grab it and show you on the overhead, make sure the lid's on, Alkalin's Aquagloss, which is their non-cellulose based clear coat. I've stopped using clear, Johnson's clear. I just don't think it's as good, especially as that stuff. That dries absolutely rock hard. If you leave it in the airbrush, you're in serious trouble because you're not getting out the airbrush. And it dries rock hard. A couple of coats, perfect for decaling. So I'm going to clear coat it next. I'm going to let this dry for a few hours. It's going to stay in the booth because it's literally just finished painting now. You can see all the different paints I've used as well. Once it's dry for a few hours, I'm going to clear coat it, leave it overnight, and then probably tomorrow night I'll start the decaling process. So I'm not going to show that on camera because you've all seen decaling before. You go back to my previous videos or the videos in ISM, you can see me decaling. It's a simple process. I haven't even looked at the decal sheet yet, but Jake, one of the guys that does the Google Plus Hangouts with us, said there was a fair few. And being Tamiya, they were shocking and felt a bit. So I hope that's not the case, because if it is, I'll have to order aftermarket decals, which I don't really want to do. Once the decal is done, I'll give it another clear coat, and then we'll come back and we'll see what we're going to do with the wash. And then it's literally finishing touches. The propeller just needs the black spray in. I think we've got the antennas to put on. Paint the exhaust, a little bit of detail painting here and there, unmask it, and it's done. And I'd be glad to get this thing done. I've been building this for nigh on a year now. Video building it, it just drags the build process. And a 132, it's put me right off 132 for quite a while, to be honest. Just such an in-depth, involved build. It takes so long doing the cockpit, the engine. I don't mind the painting. The paint hasn't taken that long, but obviously it starts taking over your modelling life as such. So it'll be the last 132 I built for quite some time. But like I said, I'm going to get this clear coated and we'll come back once it's decaled and we'll be on the bench and have a look, see what she looks like. Okay guys, so it's a couple of days later since the last part you've seen. We clear coated after doing all the paintwork effects. I then spent several hours, and it literally was in total about 7 hours decaling this. Done it on and off over a couple of days. Chance people on Skype, etc. Decals, not great, typical Tamiya. It didn't fall to bits, which I was really surprised about. Really thick, quite hard to get them to lay down and settle, so that's taken a bit of work. Several passes with microsole and a lot of persuasion to get them to set. They've gone down pretty well, and what I've done literally probably half an hour ago is given this a matte coat. So go to the overhead screen, you can see there's a little bit of shine on some of them still, a little tiny bit of silver in here and there. I'll sort that out as I go around. There's a few little bubbles that need popping and smoothing down. They appeared with the clear coat, so it's obviously the cellulose base paint, but you can see the flat paint work we've got. So the next step will be in the next part, at the end of this part today. We'll come back, the next part will be the last video, woohoo! Where we'll get some oil dot filter down, so we'll use various colours and tones of oil, streak them back using odorless mineral spirits, stuff like this, like the MIG stuff or the 502. Streak it back and that'll give us a really nice faded paint effect. Once that's dry, after a day or so, we'll then come back, give it a clear coat, we'll then give it a wash. I'm probably going to use oil wash, purely and simply for the colour I want, which is like a off pink, off white colour. It's quite a strange colour. I've seen it done in the Tamiya book to building this, and I quite like the effect it was achieved, so I'm going to follow that route and we'll do it that way. Get the antennas on, get the props sorted. The props behind, if I just grab it quickly. So we sprayed the tips yellow, it's masked off, ready for some black, get the centres painted up. Now once that's done, we're obviously near the end, and I'm not sure it's that chipping. I've just got myself one of these prismatic pencils, so I might give that a little whirl and see how that works on it, but I don't want it overly chipped, I don't want an absolute battered aircraft. It's not my style at all, and I did consider to begin with, like I said in one of the parts, even go as far as alclad the wings and getting ready for chipping solution, but change my mind at the last minute. I just don't like that heavily weathered look, and I know these planes were absolutely battered, but for me, I'm happy to have it looking semi-spick and span. There's a lot of paintwork effects on it, they're quite subtle. There's a lot of post shade and panel fading. I can see it to my eye. You may pick some of it up, you can see it underneath as well. I've got to be careful with it. I don't know if the camera's whiting out there, it looks like it is, but you can see it on the light blue on the wings. We have got a bit of fading, it's post shade on the side, so it has got paint effects to give it the weathering, which is more my style. And obviously we've got the engine panels, which just fell off on me as well. So like I say, that's us for today. We'll be back very soon, I'm not sure when, hopefully in a couple of weeks with the next part. That'll be this done and dusted, so we'll get the clear coat on, sorry not the clear coat, we'll get the oil filtering done, we'll get the clear coat on, we'll get the panel wash done, get the antennas on, get the prop on, get the windows unmasked, get it back on its stand, and that should be job done. Like I said, I've been building it for a while, so it'd be nice to get it finished at last and done and dusted and out of the way. So there we go, that's it for today guys. So not the most interesting video, you've seen a bit of paint work. I didn't show the decal because I knew it was going to be immensely boring. You've all seen decal before. If you want to go and see me decal, go and look at any of the other builds, the 109, the Raptor, the Pike, anything I'd normally show. You know, a few decals going down. I thought there's no point with this. Most people know how to decal, and if you don't, go over to ISM's YouTube channel, look at my aircraft techniques guide. It's a 13-part guide on aircraft. Every step of the way is dealt with in a part, and there's a specific part on decaling. So if you don't know how to do it, go and have a look. And that's it. So I'll see you guys soon. paulfromemodels.co.uk. Go check out E-Models website, Facebook page, and the rest of my videos on their channel, as well as their own mini reviews, and they've got other people building for them now as well. Have a look at those, and I'll see you guys next time. So take care. See you soon.